Welcome back to MapleStory Free Market. Today we will be going over how to install the MapleStory plugin and how to play the game using the MapleStory client. First thing we'll need to do is go to the Lackey CCG website and download the client. For Windows it comes down as Lackey CCG win.zip. I'm assuming it's something similar for the Mac version. When you uncompress this, you'll get a Lackey CCG folder and a Mac OS X folder. We want to go into the Lackey CCG folder and open up lackeyccg.exe. It will bring us to this environment. There's nothing in these other tabs because they're grayed out because we have nothing installed right now. So we will pull this URL from the Discord. We will make sure it says MapleStory/main/update list.txt, and then we're going to click install or update from URL. It's going to grab everything that's out there. Load the plugin now. Yes. Now we want to go back into the plugin tab and download all missing card images. There's only 367 cards, so this should be a pretty quick thing. We'll just let it run. Actually, while it's doing this, we'll just let it run its thing. So what this is doing is it's going to populate in the deck editor every picture for the cards. We want to do this ahead of time because otherwise you're going to have to download each individual card as you mouse over it in the deck database, and it's just so much easier to do this now. If this option is not present to download all missing card images, we would go into Preferences and Miscellaneous and allow pre-downloading images for offline use, and you want to check that box. If that's not checked, you will not see this download all missing card images. So that's one thing to keep in mind. We can also go to the Preferences tab, Chat and Macros, and we can reset to default CCG canned messages or reset to default MapleStory canned messages. We want to do, this is currently set up for the MapleStory. If we click on the Lackey CCG, we'll see this is, pass or play, pass, proceed, thinking. This is what Lackey defaults to. This is probably what you'll see in here. But we can go up here and reset to default MapleStory. And this is going to help us out because it'll give us our level up button, draw 5, draw 6, flip a coin, 10 damage, 100 damage. So this is what we want in saved canned messages. Also, we want to go to the player profile tab and fill in your player name, because if you're going to be playing online, it needs a player name. Doesn't have to be unique. You don't have to worry about someone else took my screen name. It's just something to identify you on the server. If you want to, you can browse and select a URL for your browse and select an avatar and save your profile. Under appearance, there's not much that we need to do. Key bindings, this is all your keyboard shortcuts if you want to play with keyboard shortcuts. We already looked at chats and macros. Skins we don't mess with. Sound, if you want different sounds to play during the game, you can choose to turn them on or off here. Performance we already looked at. Miscellaneous, the only big thing, do we want tutorial message at startup? We don't need that. And then show mouse over tooltips, we'll leave that on, why not? Enable scripts, yes. Enable pre-downloading of images. So it looks like, okay, we are now done downloading all missing card images. Now we can go to the deck editor and we will see every card image has now been downloaded. Pretty simple. In our deck editor here, we have our deck tab and starting. Starting is where we're going to put our character cards, and deck is obviously where we put our deck. Starting will not be shuffled into the deck when you start a game, so that's why we put our characters here, because we never shuffle them in. We can go to this browse button, and here are the default decks that are included. We have the 3 starter decks and the 2 Japanese starters. We can click on one of these, it'll show us a preview of what's in the deck. We can click choose and it will populate that deck for us. We see the deck is 32 cards and there's 2 starting characters, just like the starter decks do. This is Ivan and Sherman. We see the deck name is right here. We see this will populate with the recent decks that we loaded. And we can do load entire deck to you, and it will load the deck to us. Go to the starting tab, drag and drop, and then click back to our hand. So if we do not see any of our buttons down here, we can click this plus button next to the log. And now we have our level up, our draw 5, draw 6, flip coin. So that's what we need to see so that we can use those quick buttons. To set our starting health or to do any type of manipulation with our numbers, we can click on HP. This is pretty self-explanatory. We can change it to, we have 220. We can subtract 220, add 220, or set to 220. Well, we want to set it to 220. And then done. And then whether we go first or second, so we'll say we go second, draw 6. And there's our opening hand. Everything is drag and drop. Now the trick comes with leveling up. It's easy for the first level because you just take your card and look at the blue outline, not the ghost image, to figure out how it's going to stack. So those stacked pretty good. Now our next turn, if we want to level up with this, if we grab this, we're just taking the top card with us. We need to actually create a small box, and then we can drag the whole stack with us. If you can't read these, that's fine. As you mouse over them, over on the left-hand side, it will show you what's what, and it will do the same thing for your opponent's cards as well. Any card that you mouse over that is face up will show up in the left-hand side. When we do our level up, we just click the level up button, and you'll see it automatically goes level plus 10, HP plus 20. Flip coin is just that, flipping a coin. Just little buttons.
Good game.
Good game.
Dang.
Shucks. 10 damage will do minus 10 HP. This is minus 100 HP. You come up here, we can say someone swings for 120. We can put in 120 and then subtract 120. Or set to 0 or whatever you want. That's pretty much it. We can go back to our deck editor here and let's look at a couple different features we can do. First off, we'll click on new deck. So it'll clear everything out for us. We can choose a deck name now if we want. We can just put in here testing 1. It's not necessary at this time to name it, but we'll put it there just so we don't forget. So we have a nice database here of different stuff. Let's say we want to build a warrior deck. Well, we see that class is a field here. So we can go over to the side, click on the checkbox, class contains, and say we'll do warrior. And press enter. So now only warrior cards show up in here. We can choose to filter or organize by card type of character, and then item, and then monster, etc. Or we can add another filter of type. Come over here, type contains. You don't have to spell out the whole thing, just enough to make it unique. So now we are looking at just warrior characters. We can click on this up here and say change it to bowman. Now we are looking at just bowman characters. We can clear this checkbox, clear this checkbox for class and leave the type contains character, and now here's all the characters. And then we can organize, group them together. So we want to make sure that we're looking at our starting tab, and we'll just randomly grab Flynn. Why not? Drag and drop. Really easy to do. The other thing you can do, actually we'll do it in this other window. So now we have type contains character, but we don't want that anymore. So we can just clear the checkbox and the entire database comes back. But it's still sorted, so we're good there. You can go back here to class contains Bowman, and now just Bowman cards show up in our filter. Now let's say we want this battle bow. We can double click to add one, or we can click on it once and see it stays highlighted. We can do a +1 or a +4. So we already have a battle bow up here. So we can just click, we'll do battle bow +1. And now in our number column we have 2 battle bows. And up here it changes to a +3 because usually 4 is a playset. So, but it's not adaptive. It just knows if there's at least one up here, +3 would get you to 4. We can also click on it and then do a +1 up here as well to continue adding. And we can go through here, Maple Shield +4, Golden Crow +1, but then come up here and do a +3 to get it to 4. Keeps track of our deck up here with 12 cards and then 1 starting character. And we'll just grab, say, a Fly Eye +1. Now this is not, again, this is not adaptive and it does not have the actual rules for MapleStory built in, so you can absolutely put in 11 Fly Eyes or 10. Do a -1. The other thing you can do is just do a -all to just completely remove the Fly Eye or whatever you wanted to just take out. So you don't have to keep clicking -1, -1, -1. So the reason why we wanted to give this a deck name is because when we're done with this, we'll just leave it as it is. We can click Save Deck. Now it's saved. And so we can load entire deck to you. And that left that in there. So we can just do File, New Game. Go back to the deck editor. Load entire deck to us. And I used to draw 6 times 2 because all we have is 12 cards, and then there's our cards. A lot of options are in the right-click menu. So while we're highlighting our deck tab, we can right-click and shuffle. Some cards let us look at the top card of our deck. You right-click Deck, Reveal to Owner, Top 1. And it will show us that's our top card. Now, with the cards that let you look at your top card, you can say, when done, send this to the top or bottom of your deck. Because that's what a lot of the abilities let you do. So we'll say we'll throw this on the bottom. Done. And you see down here, you put the revealed card on the bottom of your deck. When you're looking in here, you can also just drag, and that's how you put the top card of your deck face up. Is just drag from this first spot and put it back. Same thing, you can just drag it back to that first position. On the field, we can right click. Green and red, these are just tokens. You can use them as damage tokens, whatever you want. And then we can also send the cards to top of deck, top of discard, top of starting. This is for when cards get bounced, say return target creature to top of your deck or your opponent's deck. You would send to top of deck. We did run into an instance where it had to be returned to not the top card of the deck, but the second to under the top card of the deck. So we would take it and actually drag it here. If we see the green line between the first and second card, we drop it in there. We see it was put into position 2 of the deck. We pull that out, and that's our Zozo again, or Flynn, sorry. So outside of that, let's see our deck editor. Is there anything else we need to look at? Okay. Browse. This will show us we did save our training1.dek, our deck. one thing that we can do is we see up here plugins slash MapleStory slash decks. This is the file path location for the decks. We can click Open Directory and it'll bring up the directory of the decks. The nice thing is these decks are not specific to your client. These are all stored locally. So if you use more than one workstation, you have to move your decks manually. But you can move them to any other version of Lackey as long as it's running the same plugin. You'll be able to open this and load it just fine. With the MapleStory plugin, we can also, actually that's all we need is just our decks section. And we see this is under, I put it under a documents folder. Lackey CCG, plugins, MapleStory, decks. So that's how we would find these. And they should all pop up in here. And if you drop it back into that, if you say take this testing one deck to another workstation with the plugin installed, you just go to this location, drop that file in, and then open this up and it should show up just fine. I believe that is all that we need to cover for this. If you have any other questions, absolutely let me know and I will do a part 2 to this. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.